Hi, Happy New Year. So today I'm actually going to go over how to use Coravin correctly and some of the tips do and don't with this device. I actually have the very first model since, man, I think 7+ years ago when they first came out with the product. This over this Christmas, they did a lot of really aggressive, really cool sales. So a lot of my clients ended up picking up one to preserve their wine. So I figured today we talk about how to use it properly and some of the things you should and shouldn't do with the Coravin. So first thing first, Coravin is really cool. The whole idea is you put a little argon gas capsule in there. There is the needle which you poke directly through the cork, given the idea that it is a living, breathing thing. Cork itself can actually contract and expand. So the idea is when you poke the needle through, you can get to the wine inside the bottle, and when you remove the needle, the cork will expand back and kind of seal the bottle. In addition to that, you are injecting argon gas into the displaced volume of alcohol, so it keeps it from oxidizing. And it's actually quite simple. You have this little lever. You want to first pull it down, and on both sides has a little kind of clampy thing. So you open it, you clamped it right over the neck of your bottle. So now you are ready. The next thing you do is you push down the needle so it goes through the cork and you're good to go. It's fairly simple. It looks a little intimidating if you've never done it before, but it's fairly simple once you get it. The next thing you need to do is just have a wine glass. You tilt the bottle, nothing comes out until you start pushing the little button on top. And when you do, it's essentially putting argon gas in the bottle. And when you let go, the alcohol comes out. So it just depends on how much you want the wine to come out. The more you press and let go, the more it comes out. And it's kind of, I don't know if it's easy to tell or not, but it's essentially replacing the alcohol with argon gas. And whenever you're ready, you can simply just turn the Coravin upright and it stops pouring. And the cool thing is you don't need to have this on this bottle. You can pull it right back out, unclip, and you can go on to try next bottle. So this bottle is good. You don't have to worry about oxidizing. So a couple of tips. First, right after you're done, I generally like to do a really quick press because there's a little bit of alcohol still left in the needle. So I do a little quick press to kind of get rid of whatever additional alcohol that's in there. Secondly, from my experience, as you can tell or maybe not, once you poke a hole through it, even though it expands back out to close the cork, you can still see where kind of the needle was injected. So ideally, you don't want to be doing this 10-15 times because essentially you're just gonna, the cork is just going to lose its elasticity to kind of close this out back up. Secondly, it only works with a real cork. So if you're drinking a wine bottle that has a synthetic cork, a plastic cork, that will not work. I've done it once. You poke a hole through, and what happens is when you put it upside down, the wine will just come right out. Whereas the real cork, because it closed back up, it doesn't happen. So it doesn't work on the plastic cork. Number three is I know on the Coravin website and their official guarantee is that you can essentially now keep this bottle for the next 2, 3, 4 years and it's still going to be good. From my personal experience, it lasts good for another 6 months to 10 months. After that, I do start noticing the quality of the bottle changing. So it is good for a situation where you know you won't be able to finish this bottle of wine in the next couple of days, but you will finish in the next 6 months or less. It's not for you to take a sip right now and come back 2 years later and see how the wine developed. It doesn't work that way. So hopefully this gives you a couple of really good tips and guides in advance. Oh, actually, one more thing. Another thing that I do wanted to have you be aware of that is this does not work that well if you have a very old bottle of wine. So this is a fairly young bottle of wine, it's 2014, but if you, let's just say if you have a wine that's from the 90s or 80s even, especially if the cork condition is not very pristine, what happens is if it's really weak and loose, you can poke the needle through and just poke the whole cork through. Or again, because it's an older bottle, you can poke the needle through, and when it comes back out, the cork doesn't expand back and close it properly, and the wine will start leaking, especially if you put your wine sideways with the older bottle and the looser cork. So the Coravin is one of the best wine preserving kind of tools out there, but it is not almighty and all, and there's no downsides for it, if that makes sense. But Still, I highly recommend if you're someone who loves to enjoy multiple glasses of or different glasses of wine but can't necessarily finish a whole bottle in one setting, it is a really cool tool to have on hand. Hopefully this helps. If there's any more additional questions, please feel free to leave a comment below. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you next time.